Non-stop vibes, non-stop hits. This is FlowFM 92.7.
Good morning, Ilorin. You know what time it is. Wake up with us and get your day started right.
We've got the hottest headlines, trending topics, and the music you love back to back.
You already know we keep it fun, fresh, and real. Mid mornings with us, you won't want to miss it.
We bring the energy, the laughs, and of course the tunes that get you through the day.
Afternoon on FlowFM is where the culture lives. Music, entertainment, and all the gist that you need.
And if it's trending, you already know we're talking about it.
Stay locked in, Ilorin. It's FlowFM, baby.
The night's young, the vibes are right, and we are flowing past midnight. You ready to chill? Let's go.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Stream us live, call us, send us a WhatsApp message. We're just a tap away.
And thank you for tuning in to Flow FM 92.7. It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to the headline news analysis. My name is Adeyemi.
I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the headline news analysis this morning.
The headline news analysis is a platform that gives us the opportunity to discuss, debate, and talk about some trending national headlines. We're brought to you at 7 o'clock on the headline news, and then we'll return, like we did promise at 7, to come back and discuss some of these big stories with Nicholas Uwerunonye, a resident analyst this morning. You can also take part of the program by calling the number 0807 777 9927, 0807 777 9927. You can discuss this soon to be shared, stories or any other, but please, there's simple rules on the program. You have 60 seconds, 1 minute to make a comment, tell us your name, where you're calling from, and go straight to the point. Please, let's keep our conversation and a comment very, very civil. A lot of interesting stories to touch on this morning, and we'd like to kick off from the home state of Harmony. Yeah.
And before we get into that, the views to be expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our resident analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye. And also to remind you that we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube this morning at FlowFM 97. So you can get on any of these apps and get in on the live action happening in the studio right now. Let's pick it up.
This time we're looking at some not the very, it's quite disturbing story as some bandits attacked left thousands displaced in Kwara. Suspected members of the Mahmuda terrorist group have attacked Babanla and neighboring communities in the Felodun local government area of Kwara State, killing 5 people, including a police officer, and abducting several others. Now, the assailants who stormed the area on motorcycles also raided the divisional police headquarters, looted the community market, and carted away goods. But the Nigerian police, in response, vigilantes and local hunters have been deployed alongside fighter jets to comb the forest believed to be the attackers' hideout, as the Kwara State government has imposed a security lockdown on the affected areas while promising coordinated action with federal security agencies to neutralize the threat and restore peace. How soon will that be?
Well, good morning, our listeners out there.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I've been monitoring the story for quite some time now, and at some point I think that the state government made a release that the place is on a lockdown. It's what we have been saying. These are ungoverned spaces. And around the forest belt that we have all the way from the north down the north central, there has always been that intelligence suggesting that bandits and terrorists, and kidnappers, make that place a hideout. In fact, it's not only Babanla that you have that kind of scenario. I think somewhere around, this Eruku, I know they've been going through a lot of, and the case of Eruku is even made more peculiar because of the stretch of bad roads that you have there. There is no way an oncoming vehicle will not stop, so it allows for these nefarious elements, to, perpetrate their heinous act. So the Babanla situation, I have a problem with this, a reactionary, modus operandi of Nigerian security agencies. I would have preferred a situation where we hear stories of so number of bandits being taken out, and arrests being made. That efforts are being made to trace where they pass through, and perhaps put some security watch posts around those areas. I know that there is this new act, setting up the forest rangers in Nigeria. And the guys have been in training for a while. I know they've been undergoing tremendous training, and by now I think it's almost 9 months or thereabout. So if not, maybe 6 months. And I know that at least the standard training, for the ground operating has to be about 9 months or so, because they have to go through a lot. So what we are seeing right now is probably the last moments of those kind of violent acts being perpetrated on Nigerians living in far-flung areas. So maybe when they come on stream, we might be able to have a handle on some of these issues. But I think that we should be more proactive in handling this kind of situation. The situation of this ungoverned spaces calls for attention, and it's not today that we've been saying things like this. We've been saying that security, our security apparatus has to go high tech. You understand? How well do we do surveillance? Because most of this is a function of surveillance. Drone surveillance, satellite surveillance. Because I know that we have the capacity. As a matter of fact, I've said it once on this platform that while the Comptroller General of the Customs was in Kwara State, about 3-4 months back, it was one particular question I asked him, and he did say that they coordinate with the Office of the National Security Advisor on that, and that some of its operations are done via the satellite. They use satellite to monitor some activities of smugglers, especially in the areas of the north. So my thinking is that if we could have that, so why not deploy it in the areas of monitoring forestry? And I think it is even easier, because all you need is just the thermal imaging, a function of the satellite. Because you see, with thermal imaging, you can detect a large body of people, clustered. There are people who know how to read a clustered body in military formation. They will tell you that this formation is more like a military camp than ordinary sedentary, habitations of people. So I think we should go beyond what we are seeing right now. If they've done it, they should assure the public that this is where we are, and this is, it's just a storm in the kick-off, because if the information is properly managed, it's going to create a lot of panic in a lot of, secluded, habitations, around our axis.
Yeah, when you talk about information, what do you think about insider information with what has just played out? Because the report says that the assailants stormed the area on motorcycles and raided the divisional police station headquarters there, also looted community markets and carted away goods. While all of this were going on, it took... Well, they say in response, the Nigerian Army, police, and vigilantes were deployed. Why wasn't there communication between this divisional police headquarters people and then, the Nigerian Army and other police officers that could come to their aid in the moment where it was happening?
I think there's a failure of intelligence there. The mere fact that they could get a drop on the Nigerian police, post, tells you that their surveillance wasn't good enough. Then secondly, I do know too, even I'm not a police officer, but I do know that, when you start seeing strange faces, within the community, is what the average Nigerian policeman is trained to spot. You understand? When you see 1, 2, 3 strange faces, something definitely is going to happen. So that is, you see, again, it goes to orientation and reorientation of Nigerians generally. And I think the NOA should go beyond its normal ken of duties to look at, areas of reaching out to people in the hinterlands. Places like this Babala that we're talking about, places like the Eruku we are talking about. How do you get across to them through your community, information management system? Like the palace, the palace, town crier, they still have it, or the community heads, landlords association and things like that. If you have people that are strangers within your midst, how well do you bring them in to have verified information? And I'll give you another example here. Have you noticed the number of strange people riding bikes in Ilorin metropolis these days? Yeah, we are talking of people that are not ordinarily indigenous to Kwara.
Okay.
They're indigenous to Ilorin. I mean, you see them on the bike. In fact, on a couple of times I have had to just tell them that I'm going to so place,
and they
know. Nod.
But they don't know.
No, they nod. What they do is they nod. They say, okay. Then you climb on the bike until...
And they happen not to know the exact location.
They don't know the exact location. Then you start telling them that, look, my friend, where are you going? I said, I thought you know the place you are going, and things like that. So for me, these are red flags. You say, what if that is just, somebody doing surveillance, trying to get a lay of the land? Doing what in the security parlance they call staking out. Maybe that is what he's doing.
Would it be hard to differentiate people who actually just come into town to hustle?
No,
and people that
I think that the number one point is how they get the uniform. Who wear their shorties? This is where all this is a TWAN, this is transport whatever association. This is where they come in. So I don't know how far they are captured in this security concern thing. Vis-a-vis them, police and DSS. If you are bringing in somebody, do you have some form of biometric? Biometric needs not be machine. It must be that, okay, you have his passport, then you have his thumbprint somewhere. Then he has shorties, maybe a community leader within that can vouch for them. You understand? In case there's something goes wrong. So they can say, okay, this is where we come from. This is, and why we are here. We are here to do business of Okada riding and things like that. Does he have a family? Is he alone? Is he unattached? These are some of the things that you should have. So, these are some of the things that I think, we've been failing in doing, in the last decades or so. And that is why we have this situation right now.
All right. Well, you did talk about ungoverned spaces all across. It's not just Kwara alone.
No, it's not just Kwara.
It's across states and all of these things. But again, beyond the Babangla situation, how do you think government can provide security for some of these ungoverned spaces? What do they need to do? What strategies they adopt right now to keep those spaces a bit safe?
There is no going around the boots on ground. No matter how much of the gadgets you buy, boots of grounds have always been the best. They trumps virtually everything. A human intelligence, that they call it human, it's trumps the one you get via all these automations and the rest of them. You see, we can never tire of recruiting security personnel, trained security personnel, with clean background. We can never tire of that. Yes, I hear them saying that resources this is, but we need to prioritize security. That is just it. We are not prioritizing security enough. That is just the baseline.
All right, 0807-777-9927 is number to call to be a part of the conversation this morning. Let's move to another news story. Peter Obi, former Labour Party presidential candidate, has called for Nigeria to adopt a 5-year single-term presidency, arguing that it would eliminate distractions from re-election campaigns and allow leaders to focus on governance. Now, he made a visit to Bauchi State Governor, as in person of Bala Mohammed, and Obi pledged that if elected in 2027, he would serve only one term and strengthen political parties to function independently of elected officials. And then in response to that, Governor Mohammed urged Obi to return to the People's Democratic Party to foster unity among opposition groups.
Well, let us be clear. That is not the first time we've had.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah,
no, I mean the single term.
The 5
years, and it's not the first time. It's not he will not be the first person to make mention of that. I recall that the point of the third term agenda under President Obasanjo was essentially about a single term thing. I think it was 6 or then of course Jonathan came on board and he reiterated that. And now you are having Peter Obi saying the same thing again. And the argument for a single term of 5 years is that it removes, this distractions. When somebody comes on board knowing that he just has a time to do things, you understand, you're going to, he will be more focused on delivering the dividends of governance. That is the argument behind that school of thought. But, on the other side too, there is this thinking, this theory or philosophy that there must be reward for good hard work. And that is the reason why you must have a second term. That if you do well in the first term, what stops you from having a second term? If the guy is so good, but he is hobbled by the constitution that he cannot continue, what do you do then? So that is another legitimate argument that kind of counters that. But my opinion is that, you see, whether you have one term or 5 years, whether you have 10 years or 5 years or 25 years or 5, humans will always be humans. You can have a terrible leader who knows that after this, there is nothing you guys can do, and do maximum damage before he leaves. You understand? So for me, it is not as much, it's not in the tenure. I think it's the quality of humans that we elect as our leaders. This is my personal opinion, exactly. But of course, Obi is entitled to his, and I think, whatever thing we promote, whatever type of governance we promote, we should always be, cognizant of the fact that we are humans and we are not perfect. If you look at 1,000 years of human reign, it has always been, humans have governed themselves. It has always been one blunder after the other. There is no such thing as a perfect, It is, I think it rests more in strengthening institutions that allow for good governance to happen. The moment we have institutions where good governance don't happen, you always have this needless talk about whether to steam it to just 4 years or to have a 5 years thing. A very good example was what happened to Trump in the first term. The man said he wasn't leaving office, but the institution was strong enough to check him. And that is what you were seeing. Then when he came back again, this institution tried as much as possible to smear him, but the American democratic system took charge and he's back in office. So these are the kind of things that we should aspire to as a multi-ethnic, multilingual country. Within this diversity, we should be able to find common strengths rooted in values. The need for good governance, to be of good behavior, to be a good example. So that is where all this is. See, when we have the absence of this, then we'll start talking about whether you should have 40-year tenure or 2-year tenure or 3-year tenure or 1 million year tenure. For me, it's neither here nor there.
Well, still on this conversation, Peter Obi, and of course Bala Mohammed, the governor of Bauchi State, asking him to return to the PDP. Is there a possibility for that? Well, being first, and then what chance do you think it stands with the PDP this time?
The thing is about politics, never say never.
Oh yes, true.
Yeah, the average politician, don't say Nigerian politician, because you see, we keep on making this mistake. Nigerian politician, blah blah blah. They are all the same. Whether in America, whether in but the way we play ours is a bit crude, So the point is that you cannot rule out entirely that he could go back to PDP. You can't rule it out entirely, especially now when it appears virtually all the platforms are having problems. One problem with the Labour Party, you have the Aburi, Nenadi shenanigans happening there. The ADC Dumebi is all over the place, ranting and saying all manners of things. And recently, you came up with some chairman saying that no, the party was hijacked from us. The SDP expelling El Rufai for 30 years. I mean, why not give him a life expulsion? So in the absence of viable, party. You understand? It is a likely scenario that may play out. It's a very likely scenario that might play out. But again, what I have learned to do is to keep my fingers crossed. I just, let's see how it plays out.
If he moves to the PDP, though, do you think that the support he got from, people following him from Labour Party would go to him as well?
You see, the obedient movement
is separate from Labour Party.
Exactly. From any party affiliation. They go where Obi goes. You understand? And I think Obi has made that clarification. He have made that clarification well enough that you see, political party is not ideological based. And that is one of the points he raised, that what he intends to do in that 4 years, if he eventually wins, is to strengthen political parties. It's not even talking about his party. It's about having parties so strong and separate from elected officers in such a manner that it allows it, and of course that is what we should aspire to. Not a situation where you have, the moment you have a governor, the entire party in the state goes comatose. You have a president, the opposition is in disarray. We shouldn't have that kind of thing, because parties are like options that Nigerians can choose from. Parties are like providing alternatives for people in terms of policy enunciation, policy implementation. You understand? In fact, it serves for the generality of Nigerians, So, in fact, it helps good governance. You understand? So, that is my point, So, it's, we don't know how it's going to turn out, like I said. But if he goes to PDP, like I said, his followers will follow him. It's not about party. At least his followers have demonstrated that much. It's all about, Peter Obi. It's about what he stands for. It's about what he's bringing in, to, Nigerian politics.
All right, let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to you. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Richard. I'm calling from Alpha.
Richard from Alpha, it's good to have you. Good morning to you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, concerning what people said, the problem with Nigeria is not the number of years a member has to stay in the office. The major problem we have in Nigeria is we don't have institutions of state. All our institutions of state are very weak. That anybody that enters there becomes the law and everything. So what we should be aiming to do is to strengthen our institutions so that it will function effectively. For PDP, Abdallah Mohammed asking people to come back to PDP. This is not the first time I'm hearing it. After their last meeting, Professor Jenny, and I think in an interview said they gave him mandate and other people to join that Peter Obi and other people to come and contest for the presidency. When they said they want the presidency to the south. So let's see what will happen, because PDP for now they are shopping for credible candidates to represent them in 2027. So let's see what will happen before then. But if they can give people the ticket, it's still a good thing. It will be a good platform for him, because at the moment Labour Party is very weak and it is decided. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Richard. Thank you for calling and for making a comment this morning all the way from afar. Thank you.
Yeah. So you've had him. That is the point. There is okay.
We have another call. Okay. Hello. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning to you, Mr. Davis. Please go ahead with your comment this morning.
Yes. You see, I want to comment on the funny news from your platform this morning. You see, what BB is trying to do is not to occupy the Gaza city or the Gaza Street. What our man is trying to do is to eliminate Hamas and the other Islamic jihad and to free the hostages. You see, it is very, very unfortunate for Emmanuel Macron to be telling us that he is going to at least to recognize the Palestinian state maybe next month. You see, they are only creating more problems for the Palestinians. You see, the best thing is for the terrorists there.
Okay.
0807 777 That number connects you directly to the studio this morning. 0807 777 9927. Speak to some of these issues that we brought on this morning, and let's quickly take a look at this comment. What's it coming from? Omoyele Sowore, who is reacting to what Rotimi Ameche said, that in 1 month he will do away with corruption in Nigeria. How do you react to that? And Omoyele Sowore said, "Well, you were governor for 8 years, you minister for 8 years, and why didn't you do all of these things that you say? You're not walking the talk."
Well, I haven't actually taken time to look at what Ameche has said, because for me, Ameche is a very strange, political entity, very strange. And, I'm not a fan of his kind of politics, really. You understand? And honestly, most times I struggle to, try to understand what he really stands for, really. At some point, there is always this conflicts about him. He's kind of conflicted, sort of. And a very good example is what you have in this issue of wiping out corruption in 1 month. It is biologically impossible, politically impossible, economically impossible. In fact, as a matter of fact, the human system needs a bit of corruption to function. Oh, yes. Those bacteria that are within your system, exactly. When you digest your food, the food is corrupted before it can be digested. You understand? So, that has always been the thing about, Amechi. Amechi can be oversensitive or overblow issues. I recall that, you see, the current onslaught you have in men of God, pastors and the rest of them was actually started by Amechi, because he was the first person that claimed that men of God were giving so billions of naira to tarnish Buhari in 2015. I still remember that comment, and that was what set the template for the kind of attack that you have on people that are considered as pastors and things. That was what said, because the media went on an overdrive, and the moment people saw that it's when you attack men, there is no thunder, no lightning comes from anywhere. It became a practice. So that is why anytime people like Amechi speaks, there's this thing I just have about him that, look, what exactly does this man want? And that is what Sowore has responded to. You understand?
All right, 0807 777 9927 is the number to call to be part of the conversation this morning. We have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
Okay, this is Michael from Ilorin.
All right, Michael, please go ahead with your comment.
So I will start with the story around Peter Obi. I think I've said it some weeks ago or close to a month ago that he might end up contesting under PDP. Currently, PDP is best. That's the truth. No matter how anybody feels about it, because no matter how rickety or how depleted PDP seems to have been, they still have structures, especially in those areas that Peter Obi needs so desperately. I'm talking about Northeast, Northwest. Somehow, he can, with the structure that he has, and he can get some good numbers in this area based on the PDP structure. So to me, I still feel that's his best. Coming to Rotimi Amechi, I joined one of those people. He was on X space, I think about a few days ago. And he just had only 20 people in attendance. And the entire thing that he said within that space, it was so confusing. A question was posed to him as to how do you tackle inflation, this and that, economical question. And the simple answer he gave, while even eating, was, I'm not an expert in economics. When I become the president, I will get people to give me advice. And that was all. And the person had to re-echo the question that I don't understand that. How will you tackle social thing? He said, I will leave that for experts when I become the president. And he also went as far as when he said he was going to cancel the Lagos to Calabar Express project.
Highway, yeah.
And within 5 minutes, somebody asked again, he changed his mind about that. No, he didn't say that. He said he will look into it and find a way around it. So it's left for Nigerians to see who is their choice. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. 0807 777 9927.
Now, let me also add to what Michael has said. I think that Amechi is like a blunt force instrument, political blunt force instrument. People use people like that to bulldoze or demolish certain things. That is what he's good for. If you look at 2015, they needed somebody very strong from a cash, that is a state with huge resources in the APC. That was why they poached him. And he didn't see the danger that he was going to do to the cohesion in the South, and he joined. So he's that kind of a person, and that is what you were saying. That's why everything is so discordant, because he's not a deliberate person. He doesn't plan. He's not a good planner,
All right, let's squeeze in this news story before we round off on the analysis this morning. This has to do with the National Youth Service Corps, where they refuted allegations that he withheld the certificated National Service Lagos State Corps, that's RAI, who trended a few months ago. over her criticism of President Bola Tinubu's administration. But the NYC spokesperson has now clarified that Rai's certificate was withheld due to her failure to attend the April biometric clearance. And it's not just her, it's about 130 other court members that are facing the same thing, where it's not about what has gone on with Rai and the issue around her, but as a result of the scheme's bylaws.
You know, it will be very, very, very difficult for NYC to convince anybody of what they are. I'm sure they themselves are not even sure. They are not even convinced of that argument they are making. You know, because see, there are certain things that I think, officials, people that are in government should understand. You know, the moment you have a riot, issue in your hand, what you do is you tread carefully. You understand? You tread carefully. In fact, if I were the PR man for NYC, if I knew this was going to happen, a month before they are passing out is when I'm going to make an announcement that a lot of members have not done this, and we have so number of people, they have so number of time to come and clear whatever. You understand? The story will be about Rai being one of those people that didn't clear that's what we'll be talking about. But you see, you let it happen after the woman had been all over the country internationally as one who is being victimized for speaking out her mind. You understand? You expect people to believe that? No. Now, I think they should do whatever they have to and give that girl her certificate and let her leave, please.
All right, then. Our time is fast spent. We're unable to take any more comments or calls. So we're going to round off on that this morning. We'll be back to your ears tomorrow from 8 o'clock to 8:30 on the headline news analysis. The views expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye. I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey.
And I'm Adeyemi. Thank you for joining us. We're back tomorrow. Have a good morning.
Non-stop vibes, non-stop hits. This is Flow FM 92.7.
Good morning, Ilorin. You know what time it is. Wake up with us and get your day started right.
We've got the hottest headlines, trending topics, and the music you love back to back.
You already know we keep it fun, fresh, and real. Mid-mornings with us, you won't want to miss it.
We bring the energy, the laughs, and of course the tunes that get you through the day.
Afternoon on Flow FM is where the culture lives. Music, entertainment, and all the gist that you need.
And if it's trending, you already know we're talking about it.
Stay locked in, Ilorin. It's Flow FM, baby.
The night's young, the vibes are right, and we